Engine Repair 2, Test 4. From chapters 8 and 9 of the textbook. Remember now, don't neglect the textbook, because you're going to have to definitely go through this on your finals. What type of information is commonly included in the owner's manual that would be a benefit to the service technician? Everything. Maintenance item specs, maintenance reminder light reset procedures, tire pressure monitoring system reset procedures. The thing about it is, if you're like me, I don't look at that owner's manual in that glove box hardly ever. You can't count on it being there to begin with. You know what I'm saying? If you open a glove box, it may be there and it may not. Turn off that light that's shining on your glasses there. Two technicians are discussing the need for the history of the vehicle. Technician A says an accident could cause faults due to hidden damage. Technician B says some faults could be related to a previous repair. Which technician is correct? Both technicians. Just a little brief short story on that. And you know, I can't remember if I told this story or not. I probably have, because I tell a lot of stories. One day, you know, we had a service manager for a while at the place where I worked that was really not such a straight up guy. He was a pretty good service manager, and he made a lot of worthwhile changes. He cleaned up the shop, and he got the bathroom remodeled where it didn't look like a dungeon and all this kind of stuff, you know. But he was constantly stirring up the puppies all the time, trying to, you know, he couldn't get everything tweaked and set up and leave well enough alone. He kept piddling with it. But anyway, he was also somebody that was constantly trying to figure out how he could, you know, duck out from under something. And so the thing I appreciated about the general manager of the dealership is he just wanted to know what the truth was. And you've ever heard of these situations where you got something worked on somewhere, or you know somebody that did, okay, and something went wrong that you know was probably related to what was done. So this old man came back and he says, I had to have an ignition module replaced on my car, and the last place it was worked on before the ignition module went out was here, and the guy that replaced it said the module was broken. And so I want to know what you're going to do about it. Well, see, the service manager was doing some fast talking, and so the guy that was the owner of the dealership, or actually the guy running it, he kind of moved him. He said, just stop. He said, go get it. So he got me from the back. This is up front of the showroom. So I went up there and I looked at it, and he held the part in his hand and showed me how it was broken. I says, okay, let me go pull the file. And that's related to this question. That's why I'm telling this story. So I pulled the file, and I looked at the, you know, the last 10 or 6 digits of the serial number, something how it's filed. And I pulled it up, and I found the car, and I saw that there was a guy, it was a 302 and a Crown Victoria. He had put an intake manifold on it. And to do that, you got to pull the distributor out. When you put it back in, you got to set the timing. And some people, when they try to set the timing, the distributor is one that's got the module mounted on the side of the distributor, and sometimes people will pry on that to try to turn the distributor, and they'll break that module, and it's like $100 for that module. And so when I saw the guy's name that did it, he wasn't there anymore, and I saw the work that he had done, and I knew that he had set the time, and I knew he'd probably pried on that thing and broke it, because with all due respect, the guy wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. I went back up front, and I told him, I says, we broke it. And the guy that owned the dealership went back to the cashier's office and got the guy the money and paid him for his part. I mean, that's the kind of people I was working for. See, these guys they're not trying to get out of anything. Let's just find out what the truth is. You know what I mean? That's, if you want to find out what the truth is, that's the best way to be. And I really appreciate that about those people. That's the way they are. The viscosity of engine oil is found where? What do you think? All of these. Owner's manual, factory service manual or service information, or lubrication guide. All right, number 4, wiring diagrams are usually found where? Yeah, that's going to be found in factory service manuals only. You're not going to find a wiring schematic in an owner's manual. All right, number 5. All right, let's see what number 5 says. What type of manual includes the time needed to perform service procedures? It's going to be a flat rate manual, and basically, you know how that works. If, you know, I've talked about this before. Whatever the flat rate manual calls for to replace such and such a part. Like if it says it takes you 10 hours to change out an engine, it's supposed to be, you're supposed to get paid that much time. When you fly into that job, if you look at the clock, if you get it done in 6 hours, you've beat book time, and you've made the same amount of money. You know, you're made 10 hours worth of labor time. If it takes you 2 days to do it, you're still only get paid just 2 hours. I mean, just 10 hours. The reason that most shops work mechanics on flat rate time is because if you put most of these mechanics on the clock, they just don't work as fast and they don't get as much done. But if it's in their best interest to get a lot of work done, you see what I'm saying? You're basically going to be people will crank out more work if they know they're going to get paid more because they did more. And that's one of the reasons that some of the shops that are even paying straight time now, I've heard them switching over to flat rate time. Number 6, component location can be found where? If you want to know where something is that you're looking for, where are you going to find that at? A and C, component location manual, factory service manual. Now, component location manuals are going to be an aftermarket sort of a thing, but typically in your factory shop manual, it's going to tell you where something is. Occasionally, it's a little sketchy about that, though. You may look up in some of the shop manuals that some of these car manufacturers make are lousy, and you'll be looking. The only clue they give you as to where something is are the little line art illustrations they have on removing and replacing it. And if you can't recognize anything in the periphery of where they're working, you're going to be a mess. I mean, you know, like you're saying, well, I understand that he's taking this off and putting it back on, but where is it on the car? You know, and sometimes they'll usually try to have the master cylinder and the brake booster over here close by or something that you can identify, so you can say, oh, that's over there. But some people have a mental block. I've had some students that will say, I don't know where this is. And when you go over here and look at the picture, it's really plain to you, but they're struggling, and you walk over in a car, and you just put your hand right on it. You see? There's Mr. Harrison. How do you do, sir? That's all right. You know I ain't hard to get along with, except with some people. All right. Okay. So, where am I at here? Aftermarket service information is available in what format? Yeah, it's going to be all of the above, yeah. Some of the aftermarket service information you get is lackluster. You know, like those little guides that little bitty things you buy at the parts store, you know, they're just like sketchy, and they have whatever you're looking for, they probably won't have it in there, you know. It's like you flip over and all that. And I've got these Chrysler shop manuals that I've got on PDF that came off of, you know, CD-ROMs that I got from a Chrysler guy. Will be like 1,000 pages, you know, PDF. I mean, this is a book. It's a book the size of one of these. You know, it's got to be a monster. However, most of them now, they'll have one for, you know, engine and powertrain. They'll have one for emissions. They'll have another one for electrical. You know, they'll have separate books for each part of it, and you'll have to flip back and forth. And boy, those Chrysler shop manuals, whenever the way the wiring schematics were drawn, you might be looking at something like dash lights, and you'd have to flip back and forth. It's a page flipping odyssey, man. Because the track will go off this page to another page. You'll flip over to that page, and it'll go off that page to another one. Getting that thing straight in your mind is a real booger bear sometimes. You got to be able to stay on target. Let's see. Hotline services are what? Number 8. That's basically going to be. What do you think? They're available for a service fee. Yeah, you can. Like for instance, there is a hotline service. Give me an example of a hotline service. Identifix has got a hotline service, and it's fairly pricey, but Identifix is so doggone useful, and you know, going straight to a problem really fast. Of course, I think the parts store, like you're talking about, has got one they subscribe to probably that, you know, for that purpose. And you get a good person, you get a yep. For nothing. Yeah, I mean, sometimes you know, the guy you're talking to, you know, you think, what kind of yo-yo is this? One time, and this is sort of an automotive electronics story, I was working on a Jeep Grand Cherokee, and the lady said, initially she came in and said, after I drive about 150 miles on a trip, it cuts up and bucks and snorts. And so I put the flat recorder on it, which is a data recorder thing that Chrysler had with their Mopar diagnostic system. And I said, whenever this happens, you push this button, it'll make a recording, I'll see what's going on. So she came back about after the weekend was over, and she said, here's the recording. And I saw it go crazy, and I said, yeah, I understand what's going on here. That's that engine controller. So yeah, I had it dead to rights. I don't want to guess at it and throw an engine controller at it. So I put a new engine controller on it, and I turned on vehicle theft security system, which is what she had on hers and all that. If you turn it on and they don't have it, then the vehicle will never start again, and you'll have to get another engine controller. So don't go there, you know. So anyway, I turned it on with the DRB3, and then she came back and she said, the little red light on my dash is talking about my theft, you know, anti-theft, and it was factory stuff. It does not working now. And I said, what? And this was like the very next morning after I'd put it in the day before. And so I looked, and sure enough, it didn't work. So I went in there and I looked around, and I called the hotline, the Chrysler hotline, talking to a couple of different guys, and they said, well, you know, upgrade your scan tool to software. So I updated the scan tool software, and then it took away my vehicle theft security system part of it. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. That was great. And so I wrestled with those guys for a while, and just like you're saying, they really were hotline guys, but they didn't know what to tell me about this. And I says, I need to talk to somebody that's a tier above you guys, you know, so I can get some better information. And they reluctantly passed me up the line to this clever, articulate lady that right off the bat, she said, have you started the car? How many times have you started? I said, well, it's been started 8 times since the engine controller was replaced. She says, when you started it 20 times, then that'll come online. Really? And I said, okay. So I cranked it up. The counter went up on the scan tool. I cranked it up again. When it got to the 21st time I started it, ding, ding, ding. That's all I had to do. Well, see, this problem would have taken care of itself if the lady had just kept driving it. Yeah. You see, over it would have come online. But what I mean, that's not a book anywhere. You're not going to find that anywhere in a book. But the reason they had it that way, the programmer set it up that way, is they didn't want it stirring up trouble on the assembly line, you know, because they wanted to wait until they were done putting the car together, and then it would wake up, you see. And during the process of starting it and moving it around and getting it off the convoy and the pre-delivery operation, it would wake them up on all the brand new cars. Anyway, there's all kinds of this stuff that's electronics related that you'll not figure out on your own. Like this one guy called, I says, I can't get this fob to program. It sees the signal, but when I switch the car off, after I've, you know, turned it on 5 times, and it goes honk honk, and you match this, and it's getting the signal, I turn it off, now they still don't work. He said, wait a minute, I remember something about that one. You got to pull fuse number 10 and leave it out for 30 seconds and plug it back in, and that will reboot that part of the body computer, and it will wake that up. Oh, really? Why is that not in the book anywhere? I didn't see a special service message about that. I know, we don't tell everybody that. You know, and I'm over here trying to, you know, if you didn't have the hotline, you'd just be throwing your hands up, you know, but it's a simple fix.
We don't tell everybody that.
Some of the Chevrolet pickups, the instrument clusters will go offline like that. And there's one particular fuse in the power distribution center you can pull and wait a few seconds and put it back in, and it all comes back, you know, but there's supposed to be a reflash for that. Anyway, how did I get off on that? Okay, let me go here. So let me see here. Technician A says vehicle history records are never very helpful in determining problems. Now that's a bunch of hooey. Yeah. Technician B says the owner's manual is very helpful as service technician because it includes procedures for resetting the maintenance reminder light. La 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 la. Huh? Did I overskip 9? Oh, why did I turn my page? That's okay, that's fine. Aftermarket parts catalogs can be used for source of information, and they're usually what?
Free.
They're usually free. Which type of manual or service information includes the flat rate, time, and the cost of parts? What you got on that? That's D, parts and time guides. Now, all data has that. Have you noticed that? You go in there, it'll tell you usually the cost of a new part. It won't tell you aftermarket parts cost, and it'll tell you the other. Now, all data basically is owned by AutoZone, or it used to be, I guess. Did you know it? Yeah. But the thing about it is, it's used in about 60 to 70% of the shops in the country. You see, they don't push AutoZone in there. You're just looking up the data. You know, it's a good idea they came up with, and I don't know why somebody else hadn't done it. You know, Mitchell on Demand is okay, but they're really big on wiring schematics and little on everything else. With all due respect to Mitchell on Demand, I'm not, you know, trying to launch a campaign against them here. But I had this guy in California that owns a shop out there that I was talking to. He's one of the guys in my circle of friends as a writer, and he said, in my shop we have Mitchell on Demand and we have all data. We got them both, just to make sure we got all the bases covered. And he says, and my guys always go to that all data. They don't hardly ever use Mitchell on Demand because they can usually find this stuff better in all data for some reason. I don't know. Now, I'm sure Mitchell's improving all the time. Okay, vehicle history records are never very helpful. That's wrong. Technician B says the owner's manual is very helpful to service technician because it includes procedures for resetting the maintenance reminder light. Like I said, I don't like rooting around in somebody's glove box, so I usually stay away from that and all that. And that's B, basically. Technician A says the lubrication guide provide information on the specified oil and lubricants needed along with the capacities and location of lubrication points. Technician B says factory service manuals or electronic service information include information that's very generic in nature and not very detailed. You know, somebody's scratching for some questions when they wrote this test, weren't they? That's A. Labor time is expressed in what units?
Hours.
What do you think? Believe it or not, it's in tenths of an hour. They call it units, basically. And why do they do that? Because dollars are in hundreds units, right? See what I mean? It's easier to figure how much you're supposed to pay somebody if it's in a tenth of an hour. Okay. When looking for a particular part or service information, where should the technician start the search?
Index.
Everybody like that? How about the table of contents? Index works too, but table of contents is the right answer for this one. That is really good coffee. I need to make me some more of that real strong stuff. Which of these is not included in most service information? A. Exploded views of engine assembly. B. Electrical schematics. C. Vehicle color options. Or D. Connector locations. Vehicle color options, you know, unless it's an auto body, you know, service information book, you're not going to find vehicle color options in here. All right, number 16. The passenger side is called what?
The right side.
Well, that's in C, the right side. Whenever you're doing that, it's going to be, think about sitting in the car, right? Because when I've had people, whenever we're standing in front of the car looking at it, they want to call the right side the driver's side because they're looking at the car, right? Basically, always remember, whenever it talks left or right, I always say passenger to driver's side. There's no errors that way. So if you can actually wind up with the wrong side that way. So make sure that it's sitting in the car. When it says left or right, think of it as you're sitting in the car. A vehicle with the engine in the front can be called front wheel drive, four wheel drive, rear wheel drive, any of the above. Now it doesn't say how the engine is mounted. It just says that the engine's in the front, right? Vehicle identification number. Now if you've got a vehicle with an engine in the back, it's not going to be front wheel drive, is it? Huh? Yeah. What are you thinking about, Bradley or something?
I can't. I haven't told them my arms and I have to
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let me see. The vehicle identification number is how many characters long?
12 or 15.
17 digits.
And that's okay.
Yeah, that's 17 digits. When I was working over there at the Ford place, I got to where I was pretty good with those serial numbers. I could walk over to a car, read the serial number, and then walk 20 feet and write it down without missing a number.
Wow.
But what you do is you break it up in little segments. You know what I mean? In your mind, you break it up in little, you know how the serial number is done when you're loading Windows on your computer? You know, it's broke up in little, but you break it up in your mind in little 5-segment words, you know. The 10th character represents the year of the vehicle. If the 10th character is Y, what year is the vehicle? 2000. Remember, they started in 1980 with A. They didn't use I, O, Q, U, or Z. And they went to, in 2001, they started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then in 2000, they went back to A. Got it? So what are we up to now? What would be a 2014 model if they started in 2000 with A? Anybody know? They didn't use I, O, Q, U, or Z now. So, okay, A would be 2000, B would be 01, C would be 02, right? D would be...
No, didn't 01 through 09?
Yeah, I'm sorry, they did. Well, I meant to say 11. Well, 10, yeah, I screwed that up in my own mind. 10 would be A, 01 would be B,
11 would be B,
yeah, 12 would be C, 13
would be D.
Yeah, and then 14 would be E. 15 would be F. Got it?
Okay.
You got that? Everybody understand that? You look at the 10th digit, you're going to get it right. You look anywhere else, you may not. The door could have been changed on that car. Seen that before. All right. Now then, The 10th character represents the year of the vehicle. If the 10th character is a Y, what year is the vehicle? That's 2000. The first character of the vehicle identification number, country of origin. Where was the vehicle built? It has 5 as the first character.
Either Canada or Mexico.
U.S.
Is it U.S.?
Yeah, it's built in the United
What
States.
was U.S.?
Well, there's different ones. I mean, 1 and 4, 5, you know. But there's actually a sheet on that in my fundamentals class here. The VECI label includes everything except what? No, it's actually does not have the horsepower and torque rating of the engine on it. VECI stands for what?
Vehicle emissions control information?
That's right. It'll tell you, it'll give you spark plug gap. And some of them it gives you ignition timing if it's adjustable, and some of them, you know, it'll give you idle speed if it's adjustable, and so on and so forth. Valve lash is what?
That's the clearance.
Yeah, whenever if you're going to be adjusting the valves and there's supposed to be some clearance, the lash is the adjustment on that.
Right.
Vehicle safety certification label includes everything except what?
The R.
Well,
GCWR.
this is really not a good question, because whoever it was that wrote this question wasn't up on their vehicle safety certification labels, because some of them have got tire pressure on them, and they're claiming tire pressure is the right answer for this question, but it's not. I mean, because on your Ford vehicles, a lot of times you'll have tire pressure. Not only do you have a tire pressure sticker, but you'll also have the tire pressure listed on that decal, right? All right. And it basically gives you gross vehicle weight and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever seen in your scan tool yet, people, when you're pulling your scan tool in, they'll ask you if the gross vehicle weight is over or under 8,500?
Oh my goodness, I have to do that with parts sometimes.
Yeah, now they want to know. It makes a difference. What are the characters that are embedded in most engine blocks and are used for identification?
It's a casting number.
Yeah, that's going to be the casting number. And you can pull that casting number up and tell what it came out of. As a matter of fact, that crankshaft that was in that box out there that we got, I called Brett over at Parts House, and I said, give me a casting number off his crankshaft. And he did. He told me what it went in. I mean, from like, 90 to 94, or whatever, 92 to 96 Chevrolet pickup. It was a 350 and all that. All right, so, I mean, it looked like a 350 crankshaft, but, you can guess at stuff and get yourself in trouble. Let's see. Technician A says the lower the bin number is, the cleaner.
24.
Yeah, 24. Excuse me. The first character of VIN is S. Where was it made?
England.
England. Over in Britland, yeah, the United Kingdom. I felt pretty good the other day. One of the videos that I pulled up on, I had an hour-long talk in here I gave on oxygen sensors and fuel trim that's on my YouTube channel. And this guy sent me an email who says, we don't have teaching this good in the UK. Well, that's interesting, because these people over there, they have to have a journeyman, apprentice, and all that kind of stuff. Hey, young lady. Huh? Oh, give her about $325. That's about half the cost of the engine. Yeah, it's half. I mean, just half of what we know the engine's going to cost will do. All right, tell me. Thank you. All right. She's the one that owns the F-150 you're going to put the engine in. So she had to pay. They had a used engine. It's kind of high mileage. You may have to change it twice because it's a high mileage engine. So it'll be all right. So anyway, let me see. I forgot what number I was on, guys.
25.
Technician A says the lower the bin number is, the cleaner. Technician B says SULEV has cleaner standards than ULEV. What do you think about that? What is SULEV?
They're both right. The super ultra low.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go, as opposed to ultra low emissions vehicle. So that's going to be B. Technician A says the front, rear, left, and right side of a vehicle as viewed from the driver's seat. Or as viewed from the driver's seat. Technician B says the vehicle identification number includes when the vehicle was built as well as engine code. Yeah, 26. Everybody like that? Both is right. That's both of them. Technician A says the other vehicle information that technician may need for service or repair include calibration codes, casting numbers, and emissions rating. Technician B says the VECI label in the trunk is in the trunk and often needs to be checked by the technician to properly service the vehicle.
I'm gonna say
Yeah, that's going to be A. Yeah, it's not the trunk. Where's the VECI decal? Under the hood, yeah. You know, it's either on the hood itself or it's on the radiator support typically, you know, or on the, you know, whatever. But it's under the hood. Technician. Let's see. The first character of the VIN is a Z. Where is that vehicle made?
Italy.
Italy.
Yeah.
Technician A says the higher the tier number, the newer the regulation. Technician B says the 2004 Toyota Prius is a very clean bin 3, while the Hummer H2 is a very dirty bin 11. Which technician is correct? Both of them.
Both of them.
Yep.
What's bin?
That's basically related to the tier of the emissions. Now, I don't know why they call it a bin. I mean, somebody might, but I don't. But that's basically, you know, the lower the number, the cleaner the emissions is basically.
Prius is probably bin 1 or something.
Yeah, or something like that. Well, it says clean bin 3. The 2004 for the newest Priuses will be clean.
Oh,
you know, the reason they shut off the engine, you know, when you shut off the engine on a vehicle, it's not producing any emissions at all while you're sitting at the traffic light. You know, that's what they're looking at there. Which of these is a cleaner than average vehicle certified under the Phase 2 low emission vehicle standard?
Huh?
Yeah, wait a minute.
C?
Huh?
D.
C.
That's B, ULEV2 ultra low emission vehicle. All right. Which of these is a California standard prohibiting any tailpipe emissions?
It's D.
31.
C.
It's a zero emission vehicle.
There isn't a note because I was in California.
You guys been into these places where they have carpool lanes, where the only people that are permitted to drive in these fast lanes are the people that are got more than, I don't know how many people you got to have in a car,
You have
but
to have a passenger.
you can't be in the car by yourself if you're going to drive that line, unless you're driving a hybrid.
Yep.
Then they'll let you drive over if you don't have a passenger.
Really?
Yeah, that you can work.
It's the gayest rule I've ever heard.
Yep. Those hybrid, well, you know the Tesla, that car is not a hybrid.
No.
It's fully electric.
Batteries.
Fully electric. And it'll go 225 miles before the battery goes dead. Now, taking off from a stop, it was burn the tire, slam off the car.
Because it's got a very fast acceleration.
Well, it does, but it doesn't have to go to a power curve like a gas burner. You got instant power just as fast as you want it. However, if I'm going to go see Aunt Bessie in Hattiesburg, I'm not going to drive that car because when I get almost there, I'm going to be needing a charge. You know what I mean?
It will take a long
I saw where they actually had a motorcycle that was fully electric.
Yeah, I saw one of those. As a matter of fact, one of the stories that I wrote had the guys were driving electric motorcycles, you know, and that was one of the novels I wrote. Which of these is a California standard even tighter than the ULEV, including much lower hydrocarbon and NOx emissions, roughly equivalent to Tier 2 Bin 2 vehicles?
D.
What do you think? That's C, actually. Super, ultra, low emission vehicle. You would think these people were military with all of their abbreviations, wouldn't you? Yeah, these military people are really good at making up abbreviations. 33. Which of these is a stronger California standard emphasizing low hydrocarbon emissions? 33 is what? That's A. Ultra low emission vehicle 1. Federal emission standards are set by the Clean Air Act amendments of 1990 grouped by which of these? 34, that's D. Tier. Finally, 35, hybrid electric vehicles fit into which of these categories? Advanced technology, partial zero emission. Why don't we just make up all kinds of fancy names, you know? Yeah, there you go. You got that. Yeah.